We worked with the redhead stepchild.
I don't know why we worked that
We were
hard.
killing ourselves to be number
We
one.
were trying to prove that it would work.
I started at IGN when it hadn't even existed. It was just an idea in Jonathan Simpson-Bent's head. And that was in August 1996.
IGN spun out from Imagine Games. It was originally called the Imagine Games Network, IGN.
Imagine Games Network, which hadn't existed right now, is part of Imagine Games, which is now Future. Imagine Games back then had Next Generation, Ultra Game Players, PSM Magazine, and they wanted to start an online network.
They had their own online web entity for the magazines, but then they want to take that one step further and create websites specific for the game systems.
We already had like Next Gen Online, and we knew that it didn't have a lot of ad revenue or anything like that, but we had this idea that, or Jonathan really had this idea that there's all these fan sites popping up on the internet, it's kids doing them in their spare time, and we were already starting to hire some of those guys, and we were like, you know what if we just hired a kid to do a fan site full time?
It was Doug Perry, it was me, it was Craig Harris, Jeff Chen, who's no longer with us, and a few other people.
And so there was N64.com, which handled the Nintendo 64. There was PSX Power, which handled PlayStation, and Saturn World.
It was basically a bunch of sweaty guys in a little media cave, tucked away in the back of Imagine's office.
We worked with the redhead stepchild. We were, the bastard childs of IGN.
I called myself a traditional journalist, and at the time I didn't even believe in the internet. I was like, this is ridiculous. How do you know anyone's even reading this stuff?
Back in the day, back in '97, we were doing what we did and trying to prove that it would work.
I think Craig's mom called after he got the job offer, and we were going to fly him out from, New Jersey to go work on the web full time, and his mom called, to make sure it was legit.
The internet became this exciting sort of open land of possibilities, and we were just sort of scratching the surface.
It was kind of like the way, if you remember how fourth grade was for you, the schoolwork wasn't that hard and all your friends were there and you'd have a good time and you don't want to miss the frog jumping down someone's shirt that day. It was kind of like that sort of excitement every day going to work, because the work wasn't that hard and there might be a frog there that day at IGN.
And so that was basically the genesis of it, that we would do these independent platform-specific websites, and then we would probably build a big network of other sites that we could, sell ads on our sites and sell ads on their sites too. So it was really like the beginning of the affiliate ad model, which probably people who are fans of games don't care about, but people who are fans of companies, it's pretty interesting that that was really kind of the genesis of that.
And the whole concept behind it was you've got all these big sites, and then you have a whole bunch of little sites and affiliates, and it all rolls up into a big affiliation, a big cluster snowball.
Probably one of the worst decisions ever for the company, just because that name is so bad.
I mean, do we really want to do that? Do we want to be that type of site? All right.
We had this site, ChickClick, and then you would occasionally receive these marketing emails from them, in your inbox.
The email read, for all the employees, read, "Give your mom a pearl necklace this Christmas from snowball.com.
Give your mom a pearl necklace from snowball.com.
I guess it was marketing people, right? They were like, ooh, we're venturing into the online world, and this is going to become a snowball effect, and it's going to gain momentum. But really, the only momentum we caught was the .com crash momentum, really.
What happened was, the video game part of the business always did well. We always brought in ads, we always had a lot of content, we always worked our butts off, because we were always a lean organization. And when we split off, the company had a lot of money, we're flush with money. So what they wanted to do was grow as fast as possible and add as many people as fast as possible.
When I started at IGN, we had maybe 12 to 15 employees, and we ballooned in the span of a year and a half or 2 years up to about 300 people.
We had grown so much that people were literally sitting on top of each other. We had an intern and a vice president sitting like this at one desk. They took us over to the building while it's being built, and we saw how big it was and how pretty and how it was designed, and there's going to be a cafe and a gym and a water slide and a helicopter pad and all this stuff. And it never showed up.
I'm pretty sure our CEO considered hamster tubes that would go through the office.
Suddenly everything became a little bit scary in a way, because we were trained to be so frugal about everything. piling into a room with 3 people when covering E3.
We get in trouble sometimes for not using the freelance budget because they wanted us to spend as much money as possible.
You know, as gamers and as kind of young guys, we're always rooted in that, you know, in that kind of dorm room mentality where we're all chums and more interested in playing the games than in, you know, playing the games sitting in a cool chair.
And we all liked our jobs. We liked working with each other, even though we were angry all the time because we were getting paid not very much for working a lot.
We were a lot more like sort of what fan sites are nowadays, where they're just guys who aren't really making a lot of money, but they're just really dedicated and love the video games itself.
I was getting paid more per hour, for instance, as a pizza delivery guy in college than I was at this job for several years.
Everybody was young, everybody stayed there all night, everybody slept under their desks.
David Smith lived in the office. That was the thing, you know, we didn't have a reason to go home. We just had each other. And so if I was in the office late at night, I could always rely on somebody else being stuck in the office late at night too.
I think we all just believed that IGN was a good enough place to work and a good enough idea that we needed to make sure it survived.
Next.
The bubble was as big as it was going to get. We're all going to be rich, we're all going to be millionaires.
We're not making millions of dollars.
20, 30, 40 of our friends getting laid off.
These are our friends. Yeah, how can you save your coworker's job?
We actually let them fight and we sell it on Insider.